Natasha, and today I'm going to share with you how I do my garden planning. It's a new year for gardening, and that's very exciting, of course, for me. And so I'm going to take you through how I get ready to plan out the seeds that I'm going to start, how I structure the garden and plan out where what's going to go. And this year I'm going to plan ahead also what I'm going to be doing with the things that I'm harvesting. So if you're a beginning gardener and just starting to think about what you're going to do for this year's garden, or this is your first year gardening and you're wondering where to even begin to plan a garden, I hope that me sharing how I plan my garden can be helpful to you and that you are going to have the best garden you've ever had. Now this is going to be a gardening series. I'm going to split it up into 5 sections for the steps that I follow to prepare our garden. The 5 videos are going to cover what to plant, when to plant it, where to plant it, why to plant it, and how to plant it. So kind of what, when, where, how, why. So 5 videos outlining the steps that I use to plan our garden and have a successful year in the garden, including vegetables and flowers. I think it's so good to be planting stuff that you can eat and that is useful for your family, healthy for your body, and all of that. But oh, it's so nice to plant some beautiful things like flowers. And I know vegetables and their plants can be beautiful as well. And there are lots of people who are in the camp for growing stuff that you can eat that would actually be useful. But I'm definitely willing to argue that flowers are useful. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who can agree with me, but having flowers in our house, even having flowers just out in the garden, is beautiful and just a different experience that adds a lot of joy to the garden and to our house. So definitely worth it also. So this will cover both vegetables and flowers. And so follow along. I hope that this will be really helpful to you as you're probably also in the stage of planning your garden. If you're a beginner gardener, this will be really helpful because I'm a beginner gardener, so I can share some things with you that isn't at a super expert level. And if you're a beginner gardener, I'm sure this will be really helpful to you just to figure out how to even approach a garden. And if you're we've never gardened before, I hope that this really can bless you as you see the steps it takes to actually have a productive garden. So follow along with me and I'll show you how I plan our garden for this year. Alright, so video 1. First we're gonna figure out what to plant. How I decide what to plant comes from one very important list. What do you eat? Yes, start there. I know it's tempting to pick up a seed catalog, scroll online through seed companies' websites. There are so many beautiful things to grow and it's so good. I'm not discouraging that. I started like that. And if you're gonna do that, I'll just say, make a cart, step away from it, come back, look at it again, because you could end up buying a bunch of seeds that you don't really need, or just excess amount of stuff that you don't even have room for in your garden. So anyway, side tangent, start with the list of what you eat. And the reason I say that is because you want to be growing things that you actually are gonna want to harvest and put in your mouth or make a meal with or give away to someone, not just growing stuff because you can grow stuff. And I know there's sense in that, it's good to learn and even try new crops. Like we didn't used to eat kohlrabi and I'm so glad that we grew it and can sometimes eat kohlrabi now because we know what it tastes like and we know how to grow it. So there is good stuff that can come out of that, but I've found that it's just helpful to grow what you're gonna eat. So to help you make a list of the things you actually eat, you could take your last receipt that you went to the grocery store for and bought some vegetables. Reach through that and see what you're spending money on and think, can I grow that myself? Well, don't even think, can I grow it myself, because you probably can, but that's what you want to be listing on your list of what do we actually eat. Things that could replace what you would normally be buying from the grocery store. So I made a handy PDF that will help guide you through all these steps as we go along. So you can download that from the description box below. And use this PDF to map out your garden, starting with this list that you're gonna make, which is just simply putting down what you actually eat or that you buy from the grocery store that you don't even realize you can grow yourself. So on my list, when I did this, I added things like, where is my list? That's not it. Where is my list, in fact? Hold on. Oh, It's right here on the fridge. Aha. So on my list, I added things like arugula, basil, beets, bell peppers, broccoli. This isn't really the list that I made. Somewhere I started, oh, you know what? It's probably in that other journal. So on my list, I added things like spinach, lettuce, pak choy, mustards, kale, any kind of herbs that you would include in some meal, tomatoes for sure, peppers, potatoes, onions. I mean, we buy those things not even thinking, whoa, let me just grow it myself. Broccoli, cabbage, zucchinis, beets, carrots, I already said that. Oh, winter pumpkins. Man, we're all making pumpkin pies here by fall, Thanksgiving, maybe even into Christmas. We sure did. And you can grow your own sugar pumpkins. I mean, it's nice if you can buy it from a store and support them, but hey, I'm gonna grow all my own sugar pumpkins this year because we had a lot of pumpkin pie. Beans, peas, sweet potatoes. Okay, yeah, and the last thing was a watermelon. So we're all eating watermelon throughout the summer if you like that. So I'm gonna grow my own watermelon this year. Okay, so that is the first step. Make a list of the things that you're actually gonna eat, which is stuff that you're buying from the grocery store. Start there, see what makes sense. Now, if you listen to that, or once you make your own list, you'll see that that's really not a lot. Not too many things, you know? So when you're approaching buying seeds, come with this mindset of, this is what we really eat. I don't need to go buy all these other exotic things. Although they're nice, and you can. If you've got unlimited space and unlimited money, go for it. And an unlimited budget, go for it. But if you don't, start with what you're gonna eat. Okay, that was a tangent, but very important place to start. Next, once you have your list of things that you eat, buy from the grocery store, make a list of the seed that you already have. I bet that most of you have lots of seeds already. Unless you're a beginning gardener, you have a clean slate, no worries there. You buy all the seeds you want, no. Be mindful. But if you have gardened before, you probably have a lot of seeds already. I have a lot of seeds already. This is my seed box. Stuffed with seeds. Like, I mean, just look at that. That's a ton of seeds. I know. Once you start buying seeds, guys, I think it's an addiction. It's a problem. Maybe not everybody has this problem, but nearly everyone I hear on YouTube or have spoken to can't start buying seeds. It's, you know, it's because it's nice to imagine, like, whoa, I can grow this. You see the picture, you imagine that, like, you can make that grow and become a thing outside, and it's exciting. It's very exciting. It's kind of like magic, this tiny little thing becoming this beautiful thing. Anyway, back to the point. What you want to be doing is going through your seed box and making a list of the varieties you have and also their specific varieties. Wait, how do you say that? So what you're going to be doing is making a list of the crop you have and list specific varieties that you have of that. So I've gone through and done that already. I made a list. This is also possible for you to make on that handy little PDF sheet. But maybe you even have more to fit than would fit on that PDF. So anyway, you make your list where you want to. But I made a list of every kind of thing that I have and listed the variety that I have. This is also a good time to actually look into the seed packet and see how many seeds you have. Take a glance. Is that going to be enough to cover you for this gardening season? Because you're probably going to do this again next year when you're gardening again. Hopefully you are. So take a peek inside. Do you have enough seeds for this year? Think about all the seasons, spring, summer, and fall. Things that have to be planted, you know, in succession or again in the fall that you can also plant in the spring. Will you have enough for both times? But most important, you just really want to think about spring and summer for the moment. You can always order seeds later again. So make a list of what you have and how much you have of it. Well, I wasn't really recording how many seeds I have, unless you want to count them, go for it. But just see if you have enough to cover the season. Reason why this is important, when I made this list, I realized that I have plenty. I don't even really need a seed catalog at this point because I do not need to order any seeds. And if you ordered seeds last year, you probably do not need to order seeds again. Although it's tempting, and sure, it'd be nice to try some new things. But how about just saying you have enough and you can try 1 or 2, 3 more things that are new, you know? You make your own decision. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I'm speaking to the me's out there that also just have way too many seeds and do not need to buy any more seeds. You know who you are. Don't buy any more seeds. Unless you want to try something new. You be you. Okay, moving on from that. You've made a list of the seeds that you have and you figured out if you have enough for the gardening season. Next, you can make a short list or a long list of what you need to buy or order. So look at what you normally eat and look at what you already have seeds of and figure out if there's anything that you should be getting more seeds of. That's pretty simple. Now finally, on this PDF I'm going to show you. Beside the list that you made about what seeds you already have, start jotting down some simple information about each variety that is going to be helpful for you to know in the second part of this when you're actually trying to plan when you're going to be planting stuff. So, for example, let me show you. I've got basil right here, and I can see on this seed packet that it's telling me that it's going to take 60 to 90 days to mature. I believe that that is from the time that you plant the seed until it's actually ready for you to pick stuff, although it may be from when it actually sprouts. Germinates is another word for that, until it germinates. Not sure actually, anyway. Now this packet will tell you lots of helpful information and stuff like, let me read it to you. It'll tell you about the variety. For example, it's intensely scented, sweet, extra long leaves are the choice for great pesto and garlic flavored dishes. Delicious. This is also an annual, which means that I need to plant it every year. Although, side tangent, if you left it in your garden from last year and you let it go to seed, which means that it made a little flower, and if you left that flower for long enough and it died, it probably scattered some seed in that area. So it may have self-seeded for this year and you don't need to plant again. You're gonna figure that out though once it comes up, and it'll probably be a surprise to you, unless you did it intentionally. Still, even if that happened, you can be safe and plant some more. So it says here to sow it in average soil in full sun after the danger of frost. Sow seeds about 15 centimeters apart and cover with 0.6 centimeters of fine soil. Firm lightly, so like pat it down, and keep evenly moist. Seedlings emerge in 7 to 14 days, and then you want to thin them to stand about 30 centimeters apart when seedlings are about 2.5 to 5 centimeters tall. You want to harvest this when the buds begin to form up until frost. It's also telling me that it's going to take 60 to 90 days to mature, so I'll know how long it takes until I can start picking stuff. And it tells me how tall it is going to get, the depth that I need to plant the seed, and so on. So now that could be so intimidating. There's so much information here. So what I suggest is that you figure out the following things. Figure out how long it takes for this kind of crop to mature. So that 60 to 90 days is very helpful to know. That'll tell me that'll tell me how long it'll take for that thing to take up all the room that it's supposed to take up. So how long it takes to mature, and what are the ideal conditions for it to be growing in. I'm not going to get too much into this right now, but when we do the next section, you'll see why this is really important when you're trying to plan when to plant stuff out and where to plant it out. So jot down this information for now, and then it'll make more sense in the next steps. So you're jotting down how long it takes to mature, what are the ideal conditions for it to be growing in, and then you want to figure out what season you should be planting it in, and then can you start it indoors or can you plant it directly outside? You don't need to know everything. You can just jot down what you know. I will be spending some time jotting down some things that I'm gonna search. I don't know when all of these things will mature. I don't know how long it takes. So I will be searching per crop, figuring out how long it roughly takes and in what conditions it'll best grow to mature. So figure these things out. It's just gonna help you figure out a rough gardening plan. I should have said this a long time ago, but garden planning is a rough idea. I mean, you'll see that there are some dates that we're gonna solidify and say, yep, this is the day that we're gonna do this. But still, that is just kind of an estimate. You know, the weather changes, things take longer. So yeah, you'll see. It's all kind of a estimated guideline, but we can plan as best as we can. So I'm a planner, I like to plan. So this worked for me last year, and so I'm doing it again this year. I hope that this is gonna help you. So let's just do a quick recap. We are figuring out what to plant, and the way to do that is to start by making a list of the things that you actually eat or buy from the store. Second, you wanna do your seed inventory and figure out what seeds you already have if you've gardened before. If you haven't, you're off the hook. You can buy all the seeds you want. And third, you want to make a list of the seeds that you don't have that you should be buying again. So start with those 3 lists and then add any info you know to the crops that you're going to be growing. So how long it takes to mature, what is its ideal growing conditions, temperature-wise or season? Are you going to start it indoors? Can you plant it directly outdoors? And what's the best season for it to be growing in? So spring, summer, or fall. Start with that, very basic information, and that'll be enough for the next video to help you continue planning your gardening. So get that PDF, download it from the description box below, and start planning, start working through it, and then I can catch you in the next video, and we'll continue planning our garden for this year.